Joshua chapter 11. Take her number, call her later. Go ahead.
He's got more talking to do with me.
Yeah.
Only been a month and a half.
I did see a big red dog running around.
All right. Last week we were on the Southern Campaign. Now, I checked it out. I actually went to the topographic on that, and there's an incredible military move that's been made. Okay? I think it's von Schlieffen, and years ago he did something that was pretty incredible.
He had him for 3 days.
But God had already done it. See, you got to realize something. I look at the Bible and I go, God will get rid of as many people as He can without any casualties. Like and He does it with moves we couldn't make. He doesn't go supernatural all the time. He did with Sennacherib, but in this fight, what I've noticed is I saw on a topographical map, and you know how I was telling you that there are like there's valleys, and they're kind of like how you have the Finger Lakes down here in New York. Okay, think of them as think of those areas, those Finger Lakes. Think of them as like valleys that are coming down instead of lakes. Okay, because they're all spread out. Now that's the way Israel on topographical map looks, where you could go. So what I'm thinking he did is from this base area of Gilgal. Now this is their tactical assembly area. If you notice, Joshua keeps going back to Gilgal, but leaving, going back to Gilgal. So he has what we call a FOB, which is a forward observation base, where they actually connect. They're at an area. They like to go there planning, and then they go out and they fight. Okay? Can you understand what I'm saying? In a tactical assembly area, that's their actual fort, like Fort Drum, and they're doing their battle plans from an actual assembly area. Now, what I think happened here is I noticed that in the topographical map there were a lot of, we call them alleyways, bowling lanes, something like that. Because if you go down there, you can just shoot right down. Once you got the momentum, you'll win. Because everybody gets boggled up in those. So what I think happened is, and I can see it, is he did what's called a wagon wheel. And what a wagon wheel is the main body is your flank. Can you see that right there? The main body would be the flank. And what he would be sending in is units to each location, like he sent to I forget all of them, but he would send them straight out and what down those lanes where the main body's coming around. So if you were those people, you'd be so worried about them that you'd forget about these making a sweep. Because if you'll notice something about that, it kind of happened pretty fast. That reason why is because you got 5 kings, and they're still alive in the caves. How long can you go without food? You know, a week, but that isn't the big. Food is easy. You can only go 3 days, you know, without water, unless you've got something going on, something maybe supernatural, like the Lord led you into the fast. Then you can sustain yourself. But most people can't. Most people don't fast like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is this was so fast, within 3 or 4 days, that it was so fast they had to have pulled off an incredible move because Joshua was already back in Gilgal by the end of it. Within 3 days, taking the whole southern part. I mean, we look and we're going, oh, you know, no, this is an incredible move. This is an incredible move. And he did it. The Lord did it in like 3 days. So that was what I saw. Okay, now we're going to start the northern campaign this week. And one thing you must realize about the Lord, and he brings it up in Exodus chapter 15, in verse number 3. They sing a song, one of the songs of Moses. You know what he says in there? He says, our God is a man of war. And we think of it like, we think war like, you know, the soldier, the warrior coming out. No, a man of war, the wars are won in the in the back rooms by thinking. You got to understand that. You can have the guy with the rifle is going to be the one who performs it, and he gets the credit. But the man that's in that back room that does the tactician and does all the planning and they push the operation, it's all one there. If you can you can get those people moved into position and just be all set up, that's where wars are won. They're won in back rooms where guys are putting tactics together. Who's the planner? Well, God is. Why do you think they're winning? Amen. I mean, come on, what's Joshua? He's making some great moves, but you got to understand something. For the very beginning of the battle, what was Joshua doing? What do you want me to do, Lord? That's all he did. And the Lord took care of all the battles, and they moved in afterwards. I mean, that's how this is a great commander who's actually down there with them. Now, I noticed another thing about this. Of all the lands they took, and all down the Makeda, there's one area I noticed they didn't take in the southern region, and they don't take it for years. They've never taken Jerusalem yet. The king of Jerusalem's still there. Now, back then it was Jabus. They don't take the Jebusites until David takes it in, 2 Samuel chapter 6. And the reason is, if you go on my Israel My Channel on YouTube, Israel My Channel, a guy will show you the outlay of Jerusalem. It's all on hills. You can't even attack. It's one of the most incredibly naturally defensive cities I've ever seen. I can see why they made that city, why they took that city, why God wanted that city. It's the pearl. You take Jerusalem, that country's yours. And Nebuchadnezzar took it, and guess what? The country was his. You see? So let's look at chapter 11. And the Bible says that it came to pass when Jabin, king of Hazor, had heard those things, all these victories, that he sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of Akshaph, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains, and of the plains south of Chinneroth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite, and to the Hittite, and to the Perizzite, and to the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah, and let's not forget the Palestinians. Did everybody see that last sentence? You know why there wasn't, they don't mention the Palestinians? Because they were not there. That is a lie that they tell you on TV. Verse number 4, and they went out, they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore in multitude, with horses and chariots very many. And when all these kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Jerusalem. Father, we bless thee. We ask you that we ask you, Lord, if you would, to bless the word here, Lord Father. Get it to our hearts. Lord, let it not be in anything confusing. Let it be in plain speech, Lord Father. We thank you. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen. So what we have is a coalition that's starting. We're going to start the battle for the Promised Land. We're going to start the battle to the north. This is a northern campaign. They've already won the southern campaign. They're moving to the northern campaign here. And it says there was a guy by the name of Jabin. He's the king of Hazor. And he had heard about everything that was going on down south, all those victories. So he starts to get together what we call a coalition. Okay? Altogether, there's going to be 12 kings here. And you'll notice it says in verse number 2, it says, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains and of the plains south of Chinneroth. Now, Chinneroth, we don't know that name as it stands there, but the name is very popular. You know the area. It has changed. They changed the name. Okay? Everybody knows the name of this sea up here. This is the Dead Sea. There's two seas. Dead Sea, which one's this? Sea of Galilee. Okay? So, this was not Galilee then. That's Chinneroth. This is that right now the name of this is the Sea of Chinneroth. Later on it will become the Sea of Galilee. It will also be the Sea of Tiberias. They renamed it when the Roman Empire came in and took control. But right now, that's Chinneroth, so everybody can figure out where we're at, where their location is right now. Okay, they're in the north. He starts bringing the same people, the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, and then of course, Mount Hermon, which is up there, and Mizpah. And it says in verse number 4, they went out, all their host of them, and much people, even as the sand of the sea, and they had horses, and also they have chariots. Go over to Ecclesiastes chapter 9. We'll hear what under the sun what God would say about that. Now, Ecclesiastes is not a. You'll notice in Ecclesiastes what they'll tell you is under the sun. Under the sun. What Ecclesiastes is a philosophy book. It's the only philosophy book that can tell you how to live if you were to live without God.
So chapter 9?
Chapter 9, Ecclesiastes. It's after Proverbs. Ecclesiastes chapter 9. And you'll notice how the Lord speaks in Ecclesiastes. He says in verse 11, it says, I returned and saw where? Under the sun. Okay, not in heaven. Everything that's on the planet. Can you catch me, Rose?
Yes!
Okay, you look
I
confused.
didn't know you were throwing yourself this way.
I saw under the sun. Now, that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to the men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. That's a practical reality. What he's saying is, I brought that up is because numbers don't mean everything, even in battle. Biggest proof for us in more of a modern day would be General Tom Jackson during the Civil War. Always was outnumbered, and he never lost a battle. And he was with the Southern Command. He was never really, Robert E. Lee used to say, I'm not really interested in all the battle and all the numbers. He would always say, I'm interested in the movement. But you have to realize something. Without numbers, you're not going to have a frontal assault. You're not going to go straight. You have to do flanking maneuvers when it comes to that. So he says, the sand that is upon the seashore in multitude, in horses and in chariots, very many. 3,000 men, 20,000 chariots is what it's going to say later on. So that's what they're up against. They're up against a coalition. They're up against a coalition of 300,000 men and 20,000 chariots. Does anybody know how many people we have right now in our army?
No.
Okay, it's 250,000. So that little place right there has more people in their army than we have in ours, in the total United States, as far as the army. Verse number 5. And when all these kings, they met together, they came, there's 12 kings, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, be not afraid. That catches me. Joshua, did you notice he's always saying to Joshua, be of good courage? Fear not. Now, you understand that Joshua's obviously has a little bit of a problem. And God wants to show you that men have problems in the Bible. If God was to turn around and say, fear not, why do you think he's saying fear not? Because you're fearing. Okay? A good leader does have a fear. You know what the greatest fear is? The greatest fear for me was I go out and I get into a situation and I lose half the people.
Oh, wow.
The hardest thing to do in any type of excursion is you come out and you don't have a few people with you. And then you got to write that letter home to their family. And then you got to stand up in front of everybody and tell them about what a great guy he was, which usually they are. But I'll never forget I had to do one for a young boy about 19 years old. And he got killed, it was August 27th, never forget it, 27th. And he had fallen asleep at the wheel of his vehicle, and he went over the bridge, and it exploded. And so I didn't come home with him. And I'll never forget, man, just the feeling of I lost somebody. I actually lost two that night. It was a very hard situation. I still deal with it today, you know. To have to write letters home, stuff like that, really stinks. But that's part of war, and that's part of what you go through. So he tells them, be not afraid. Now there's a difference between fear not, be not afraid. Joshua's worried right now. And it says, be not afraid because of them. There's a lot of people there. For tomorrow, about this time, will I, that's the Lord, he's going to deliver them up. He's going to deliver them up, all slain before the Lord. Thou shalt hoe their horses, cut the tendon in the back of their legs so they can't run. I guess that's what they do. What they're doing is they're turning chariot horses that are moving. You've got to use them in the field now. Take them out of the battle so that you can't have an enemy growing behind you. Just so you know, most of the time that in the book of Judges that Israel goes to fight, they don't even have any weapons sometimes. Know why? Because when other people come in, what they do is they kill all the blacksmiths. That's a smart thing to do. If you don't want to have anybody rise up against you, what do? You kill the people that can make weapons. You kill the war industry, as they would say. Okay? In World War II, we were bombing ball bearing factories. Any factory that was making any weapons for Hitler, we just bombed them. We just destroyed them. Why? They stopped making weapons. Hey, if you got no bullets, guess what you can't do?
Shoot.
Can't shoot. It's a smart thing to do. Kill the war industry. Okay? Just so you know, that war industry that I'm talking about, in this country, that's who starts all our wars. You got to understand, people. They have 15,000 to 20,000 workers. They have to pay them every single week, plus the unions, plus all the equipment, plus all the contracts, plus everything. If they ain't expending it, they don't make any more. Guess what they're doing? These endless wars that are all coming about, you think it's just one guy? It's an animal that's run away. You can't control it. General Dynamics, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas is now Boeing, so it really doesn't matter. Lockheed Martin, Sikorsky, all of them that are doing. What they're doing now, just so you know, I'm going to give you some little information of what's going on. You know why they want gun control? That gets rid of all the little guys.
They don't need gun control. They took away all the primers.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
They said it's because they need to make their own ammunition.
Yeah,
You know what? There's no ammunition either.
yeah.
I know that.
I understand. I know what's going on, but that's what they're doing. They're getting rid of they're getting rid of all the little manufacturers and stuff like that for personal weapons, so they can have a war industry, and that's it. That's what they want. They want a war industry. And guess what? And when that surplus hits a certain amount, guess what's going to happen? You're going to a fight. And it's going to be a long one. And they just like dragging it out. They just like dragging it. Didn't you ever notice that every time we leave an area, we leave our weapons behind?
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Oh, it's too expensive to bring them back. Are you kidding me? You're trying to tell me the delivery fee is that high to bring back those weapons? They could bring back anything. You know why they're leaving them there? So we can make more.
Right.
And Boeing and all of them go, believe me, at Afghanistan, you know what they were doing? Standing applause. Because now they have to make all new weapons. 80 what? 80 billion of them? $80 billion worth. That's called a war industry, and they're doing it left and right.
Yeah.
And just so you know, it's like a salesman pitch. If you went down to Fort Drum, went over to range control, they have an office with Raytheon right in it. Right on post, and they don't answer to the military. Amen. They've been doing that for years, people. I've been watching this for years, seeing it happen. Oh well, let's go on. So they hoe the horses down, and they burn the chariots, get rid of all their weapons of war. So Joshua came and all the people of war, verse 7, with him against them by the waters of Merom. And how did they do it? Suddenly. What's that? They got a surprise going on, don't they? So you got to keep the momentum up. You want to blitzkrieg, basically. And they fell upon them. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto Great Zidon, and unto Misrephoth, and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward. And they smote them until they left none remaining. It's called total victory. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He hoed their horses and burnt their chariots with fire, just like in verse number 6. And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor, and smote the king thereof with a sword. For Hazor before time was head of all those kings. So now you know who was the boss, right? He was the head. For Hazor was the head of all those kings. Okay? And they smote all these souls that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe, and he burnt Hazor with fire. And all the cities of those kings, and all the kings of them, did Joshua take and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. Isn't that something that God threw that in there? Didn't God tell him to do all these things?
Yep.
But did you notice how he puts Moses in there? And people don't realize Moses was saying that all through Deuteronomy. When you get into the land, you're going to get into battle and you're going to have to destroy everybody. They've been working on this for years. And there's a reason. It's a second generation. It's a different type of person. This generation that's now fighting the battles, they didn't go over the Red Sea. They don't know those great miracles. They weren't in Egypt when all the plagues happened. They didn't see these great wonders of God. So when they come out, they know the manna, they know a few things, but they only, the last miracle they saw was the Jordan. That was the miracle they saw. And if you blinked, you missed the Jordan. I'll tell you why. If you remember they stopped the waters up north at Abel. Abel's all the way up here. They crossed here. So you keep thinking the waters went out. No, the waters were stopped, and they were stopped up north at
River
Abel.
Jordan, right?
Huh?
It's the River Jordan.
On the River Jordan. And it was at the time the River Jordan overflows and everything. Okay? So it's kind of like Egypt. Kind of like Egypt when I'm talking about that. Here's the thing about Egypt. Egypt, where it lies, the rains never hit it. The rains are down near Ethiopia, so they don't see it. Now, the difference is, when you see the rains, that the Bible says that's a blessing from God. Rain is like a blessing. April showers,
Bring May flowers.
okay, that's looking like a blessing. All right, so when you see the blessings, you can see them. When you start to see the blessings out there, you go, that's great. In Egypt, they thought the Nile overflowed. That's how they irrigated. So they started worshiping the river instead of the God of the river because they didn't see the rain come down. A lot of times what's going to happen in our lives, even with the church today, and this is the problem with the church today. The problem with the church today is they don't see the blessings like they used to see them. There were days, when you went to like a conference or something like that, Billy Graham's Crusades years ago. I mean, you would look down, you'd see like 500 people walking an aisle. 500 people. We're lucky to get 2 a year, 5 a year, 10 a year now to actually get up. Everybody, it's not like it used to be. So what happens is this church starts getting, the church is boring. Why? Because the things aren't happening as usual. And the biggest problem is back in the Philadelphia age, they only were preaching the gospel. That's it. Nowadays, it's heavy doctrine, it's knowledge, and knowledge is heavily, and if you don't keep it up, you're going to get deceived. Because you got a whole bunch of these preachers today, I'm sorry, people, they're carniacs. They are. They're just a bunch of carnival people. Go watch them. I'm telling you, you've been there. What do they preach? It's a narrative. Little kids can preach that stuff. It's a joke. I hear people, I learned the Bible. I just ask, anybody who says they go to a Bible study in any church in Governor but here, ask them, what's the gospel? Just say, what's the gospel? I guarantee you, they're not going to know. Isn't that sad? It's what saves people. They don't even know it. That's the church. That's the peril of the churches today. Ouch. All right. So, verse 13. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save Hazor only. That did Joshua burn. And all the spoil of these cities and the cattle, the children of Israel took for a prey unto themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe. Now you notice how he said they didn't burn those cities? They didn't burn all those cities. All these other cities they're coming through, they're not burning. Does anybody figure out why they're not burning them?
We're gonna live there.
He's right. Moses had told them, and God had told them, that when Israel goes into the land, he says, you're going into a land that is already flowing with milk and honey, and you won't be doing any work there. So you're just going to occupy in fields, and you're going to eat from them, fields that you have not sown. And that's what he told them they were going to do. Now it's all set up. It's all set up for that. So, they left nothing undone, okay? It's total, their obedience is helping them. Look at verse 15. It says, and the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua. And so did Joshua. He left nothing undone. Notice that? Nothing undone. What's that saying to you is, he's not leaving another war to fight. Haven't you noticed that every time we have a war, we have to fight afterwards? We have another war to fight. Why? Because you started another one. After World War II, we fought another war. We fought with Korea. Remember, we went into Korea. Next thing you know, we're up against Chinese. Then what happens? Did we win that war?
No.
No, we did not. Then we went into where?
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Did we win that war?
No.
No. All right. What did we fight that war for?
That's a good question.
So the French could get a break.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
I didn't hear.
We don't even know why we fought the war.
Okay.
They said communism.
Of
They
course,
did.
they're telling you communism is running all over the
Yeah.
place. That's, we don't know why we fought the war. Anybody here know why we fought the Persian Gulf War in 2000? It was weapons of mass destruction. Did we find any?
No.
No.
Why did we fight that war then?
They moved them.
There were none. I was there. There were none. And anybody who turns around and tries to tell you, I tell you, there were none. I was there. I mean, I looked at everything that was there in back. There was none. They lied.
Cheney wanted to make some money.
Yes. The biggest thing they found in Baghdad was $650 million behind the wall. That's Saddam, and it was American money. I know. That's what happened. We never found weapons of mass destruction. What did we want in Afghanistan? Poppy, opium.
Oh, okay.
People, didn't you notice that all your pharmaceuticals now is all based on opium? We know exactly what we're doing, people. Why did we want Iraq? I can't even figure that one out. They're the second highest reserves of the Middle East, and we haven't got much oil out of there. I think we were getting we got like 23 barrels in 1 year. That's nothing, people. Do you know how many barrels we get out of the United States? We're actually, our country is the highest producer of oil, and yet we're not self-sufficient. We do 18 barrels a day. Saudi Arabia does 10. So we're still that much ahead. The only problem is we consume on an average, the minimum average is 22, so we're always that many barrels below of what we put out. So we had the pipeline. So what we did was, instead of keeping up with it and keeping up with our own sources, we dumped them. And the reason do you know the reason we gave up the pipeline? Because it might spill. So we're putting solar farms out there that are so huge, destroying all the land, when we could have just one little line that could be destroyed, if anything. And there hasn't been much spillage.
Which pipeline?
The Keystone one.
This one he just canceled?
Yeah,
You know why they canceled that? Because Warren Buffett owns a railroad
yeah.
that brings the oil down. Warren Buffett donated $40 million to Biden's campaign, so he took care of his buddy. That's exactly what happened.
That's it.
Really?
Seriously.
So let's go on to 16. He says, so Joshua took all that land, the hills, and all the south country, and the land of Goshen, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same. This is all up in the north, even from the Mount Halak that goeth up to Seir, even unto Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, under Mount Hermon. And all their kings he took and smote them and slew them. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. This war, it lasts 7 years. This is a 7-year war. Verse 19, there was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All others they took in battle. For it was of the Lord to do what? To harden their hearts, that they should not go against Israel in battle. Okay, here's the thing you got to understand. The Lord's leaving none behind, okay? And a lot of people will go, whoa, wait a second here. This is genocide, okay? And they would look at it that way. You got to get your heads above water, because you're thinking about one incident. God's looking at 430 years of disgusting sin. Think about this. The rapture is going to happen soon. Probably within this, it's in this decade. Now, when it happens, there's going to be some 12-year-olds. There's going to be some 11-year-olds. There's going to be some kids that are left.
Yeah.
And they're going to be left here to deal with it. And I'm going to tell you something. You've got to have the right mindset on that. Not every kid that's 12 years old is innocent.
Yeah.
Today's kids know more about things than you imagine. They got this phone, and that phone can do almost anything. And they see almost anything. The problem isn't that. The problem is what they're seeing. Mm-hmm. And how their minds are being just melted into some weird thing. I mean, people, think about this. We got people that don't even, you can turn around and say, you know, the election was fixed. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was not. They are insane. That is an insane person to me. I won't even talk to them after that, because right there I have to say, You're an idiot. You're an idiot if you don't think the election was fixed. You are totally an idiot. I will not talk to you after that, and actually I'll treat you like a clown. I just go, okay, bye. Oh, I understand. Look, I even treat pastors to that point. I got pastors who they don't have the right book, and that's the problem. They're confused. And you deal with them and you start bringing up things that are basic Bible doctrine, and they don't even know them. Look, a charismatic rolling on the floor, acting like an idiot, and the pastor's going, oh, you're allowed to do that. You know what I think of them? There's a corner over there. Go suck your thumb in the corner. They're like babies. That's what they are. Their church is a romper room, and they're just babies, and they have to be treated like that. It's not the people's fault as much. It's that man's fault. And you gotta put it to him sometimes, because he's deceiving. I mean, you got one up the road right there, just built a new building. That guy's deceiving hundreds of people right there, having them fall on the floor and the buddy Jesus go in the bars. It's disgusting. And you know, I had one of them say to me, he goes to the bar, Jesus is with him. Oh, okay. I'm glad I'm not. I said to him, I'm glad Jesus goes in there with you, because I'm not going. But I would say this, and I told him, I said, the only problem you have is you have another Jesus that we don't know.
That's right.
This is a sad case. This is the problem in the church today. Don't think the problem is that people are so confused today because pastors threw the right Bible out of the book, out of the church. They threw the King James Bible out. Let me tell you something. You threw that book out. You know what came in? The world came in. Because the other books are theirs. They're made by men. They have a copyright by men. They answer to men. They make money off of men. There's no copyright in the King James Bible. Know why? It's not answerable to men. And they can't change it. As much as they've tried, they can't. You can change the NIV. They changed it in 2011. It's the wrong book. And when you don't got God's book in it, it's not longer a church. It's what we call a fellowship and a meeting place. You might as well, if that's the case, most of these churches, I tell people, I say, look, if you're not going to go to a right church, you might as well not go at all and just go to a football game and have some fun. Because you ain't learning anything that's any good. Amen. You owe me twice for this. Let's go down to verse number 20. He says, for it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly. And he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses. You see, let's go over, I'll show you real fast. Go over to, let's go to, first go to Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46. It's after Song of Solomon. If you hit Jeremiah, you went too far. If you hit Ezekiel, you went too far. 46.
967.
Okay. Isaiah 46. Look down verse number 12. He says, hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted, that are far from righteousness. I bring near my righteousness. It shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry. And I will place salvation in Zion, for Israel my glory. So he's making, when he says it in 12, he says, hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted, that are far from righteous. Obviously, somebody's thinking they're righteous. That's why he says, you're far from righteous. Obviously, you're thinking you're righteous. So when he brings up that statement, go back to Joshua he says, for it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should not come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly. Okay? What's happening here is he hardened their hearts. One of the problems they're having is they think they're right. You ever have somebody just thinks they're right all the time? No matter what they do, they are always right. Oh, that's not nice.
Was you pointing at me? I thought so.
She is helping me out so much.
I knew she was pointing at me.
All right, I'm just going to go on. Look at 21. We only got a few verses left. Look at 21. Poor Rod, man, he's getting it on both sides.
Yippee.
I should have never met her mom.
Praise
Oh,
God
man.
you did.
At least her mom liked me.
Yeah, she did.
She loved him.
Verse 21, and at that time came Joshua, and he cut off the Anakims. Now, who were they? Anakims. Okay, who are they? They're big guys, right?
Right.
Giants.
Giants.
There you go.
Anakims. Giants. Okay? The giants, they lived in the mountains, from Hebron from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly. There was none of the Anakims. He killed all those giants of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel. Only in Gaza, in where?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Giants.
Who came from Gath?
Goliath.
Goliath.
And his brother.
Yes, he had his brother, which are also his sons.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. His brothers were his sons.
Yes,
I don't understand that.
They're from New York.
okay. They had the same mother. Goliath married his mother. Amen. So, and in Ashdod, there remained, only in two places. So Joshua took the whole land. That's the campaign. He took the whole land now, according to all that the Lord said unto Moses. And Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel, according to their divisions. You notice that word's in there. According to their divisions. You know what's going to happen now? Now they got the land. It's done now. Now when you get something, you know, did you ever hear somebody say, be cautious about what you pray for, you might just get it. The things you want, you just might get it. Okay, maybe there's something out there God doesn't want you to have. You keep praying for it, God goes, oh, I get it. I get it. And then it messes up your life. Okay, here's what's going to happen. They're going to get this land, and they already have it. God gave it to them. They're in there to take it. Now God's going to say something to them. He's going to say to them, basically, I want you to clear everything out now. Clean it up. You realize that God tells you when the first man was a gardener, right?
Yes.
His job was to keep the garden. Did he do a good job?
Right.
No, he got kicked out. He got fired. People don't even realize Adam got fired. He was a gardener. He got kicked out of the garden. What's that mean? He got fired.
Great.
He didn't keep it. So what do you think's going to happen here? He was the best man on earth. What do you think's going to happen here? They're not going to consolidate. And sooner or later, you know what's going to happen? You're going to kick him out of the land. Why? Because they didn't do what he told them to do. But here's the mercy of God. He's going to give them years and years, hundreds of years before he does it. That's long suffering. When was the first time you sinned? Some of you are over 70 years old. And you sinned probably when you were what? About 11, knowingly about 11, 10, I'll give you that,
I'd
okay?
say 5, maybe
So
6.
now you're talking 60 years. Have you done more? God kill you yet?
No.
Man, he must have a lot of mercy, huh?
He must. Honest. He must.
That's one thing you have to understand about the Lord. 430 years he let these people go, and then he came in 40 years later, and then he's wiping them out. And then you got the liberals yelling, "Oh, wait a second, it's genocide!" God will do what he wants.
Yeah.
You have no idea the storyline behind this whole thing.
Yeah.
Just like I said, you got people jumping up in the air about Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. You don't even know the story. You don't even know why they're there. The only thing you're doing is listening to the news. Just so you know,
Either.
it's pretty easy. Zelensky's the hero because he's an actor and he can do things like that. I could care less about this whole thing.
Either.
I could care less. But I can tell you this, whoever the media likes, I don't.
That's true.
Whoever the media likes is phony. Amen.
Amen.
Everybody they hate. Look at the people they hate. They hate guys like Mike Lindell, spending his money to do something right. He's spending too much, I think. Sidney Powell. Oh, they're all crazy people. She was the highest federal prosecutor, the best federal prosecutor for over 20 years, and now she's a dope. Because Tapper says so, or somebody like that, and you look at them and they're disgusting human beings.
Yeah, amen.
And people actually believe these people. Anybody who your media are evil preachers. It's in the Bible. That's what they are. There are the devil's preachers. All day, 24 hours a day, people. That is not news. Two people sitting at a desk giving their opinion is not news. The only news you have is that little ticker tape that goes underneath, and that's not news anymore. That's just opinion. So what are you getting all day? Somebody else's opinion. Why would you even listen to that junk? Pick you up something like this, read this, and you'll have it all figured out. People get upset with me because I tell them, I said, when COVID came out, what was the first thing I told everybody? Bunch of bull. I said it straight out, bunch of bull. Take your masks off. They don't protect you. Don't get those shots. They're stupid.
Yeah, now they get another booster.
Yeah, well, it's just it's a fourth shot of a failed product.
Really?
It's the fourth shot of a failed product. The only thing those shots are about are Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. That's all it's about.
They are doing something. Not good, but you're doing something.
It's no different than I told you about the war chest, everything. These people have to keep money going, and guess what? They need it. They wanted to make trillions, and they did it. When it first came out, what they tell you? If you get the shot, you cannot get what? Can you still get COVID after you get the shots?
Yes.
Okay, so what did they do after that? Then they turned around and said what? It lessens the symptoms. Is that not what they said?
Yes, they did. Yes,
Okay.
They did say that.
And when they said that, then people started dying, were dying again, right?
Yeah.
So what happened? It failed. So they go to a next one. And the next one was, now it's less transmissible. Well, if you go down to Fort Drum, at one time Fort Drum was 90% inoculated, and Fort Drum had the highest percentage rate of COVID. And they were on lockdown. How's that working?
Yeah, really.
That's failed. So what are you trying to say? Why are you getting something that's a failed product? I can understand if you're trying to keep your job. I understand if you're trying to keep something else and you're doing it like there are people, Bob, for instance. Bob is a guy who did it because he has a boy. And if he didn't get it, that boy's over 18 years old. They could take him away from them. So he didn't do it. He had to.
That's sad.
Okay? But, yeah, they pressure people.
Oh, they're very threatening.
I know I don't have, I shouldn't really be talking about this stuff because it's stupid after a while.
Yes, it is.
But, the pressure's on people. The pressure's on. And imagine they went to the military and they said to the military, you can't be in the military unless you take that stuff. And then they got rid of 1/3 of our military. And then we're going to go into a war. Are you sick? Now who do you think it got rid of? What guys in the military would get out over that? The smart ones that actually would read. So who did they get rid of? The best.
People.
Yeah.
And now what do we got? Look what we got. We got that bozo Austin. He was terrible at Fort Drum, and now he's terrible. He's the leader of our whole defense system. That guy's a moron. Then we got after him, we got Milley. You know what Milley did down here at Drum in 2014 when he was the commander? He spent months on training for rape prevention. They had 2 rapes in 1 year. Rape prevention for 2 rapes out of 14,000 people. Sometimes people, you got to sit down, do a little bit of the numbers. I'll give you some numbers out there. Every 22 out of 22,000 deaths, 1 is a homicide. And they think gun control is going to help. That's not enough, people. Do you know what the leading cause of death in this country is?
Cancer, abortions.
Yeah.
Abortion.
Really?
Abortion is number 1 in this country. 500 million million kids die a year. 500 million. That's a lot, isn't it?
It is. I didn't know that.
Uh-huh. And your friends are going to say it's because of, oh, well, what if some girl gets raped and she gets pregnant? That's 0.01%. So you're going to make everybody else suffer, and all those kids die because of 1 out of, 100,000 people got pregnant from a rape. Do you understand you are being bombarded with silliness and stupidity? And there's actually people that they only see, they know something. The government has known this for years. You will not do the math. You're lazy, and they know it. They know that our people are lazy, and they won't do the work. That's why you make bad decisions. I tell you, get a Bible, and when they give you a decision, when they say something, something's happening, just watch, just so you know it's coming again. COVID's coming again, just so you know it's coming
Oh,
again.
I know that.
Okay? Now, let me ask you something. Is it fake or is it real?
It's fake.
What's coming up after COVID comes in?
Mess.
It's got it. Elections. The
Oh,
midterms.
With it.
So they can cheat
Exactly like
again.
Haven't you noticed the states are starting to turn already back to the mail-in ballots that are unconstitutional and stuff? Why? Because they're going to have to steal the election again. And they're still going to lose. But you know what? Doesn't matter. This guy will throw you into a war if you think you're going to turn back. They don't care about you. There's only one way out of this solution. Johnny, get your gun now.
Yeah.
Because you better read your Bible. Well, in the end,
Lord's coming back.
Lord is coming back, and you know we got to look at this situation, and that is now they have the whole land. They're in control. Well, now they're going to have to clean up the mess inside. And guess what the Lord's going to do? He's going to say, "I gave you the land," and now he's going to back off a little once they're in. And we'll see what they do from there. If they keep going with the Lord, or if they don't. What are the odds?
Judges.
They don't.
Judges.
And that's why you'll have the book of Judges come in, and every man's going to do exactly what he wants to do. Kind of reminds you of something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What you're living in today.
Yep.
Okay? All right. All right, let's pray. Father, we thank thee. We ask you, Lord, bless the time. Thank you for the message, Lord Father. Thank you for the end part, even, Lord God, even though I don't like it. Lord Father, we just ask you if you would, get our heads in the right location towards thee. Let us get an upward look, Lord God, that looks towards you, Lord Father, and not towards the earth. The earth's screwed up enough. We thank you, Lord, for keeping us out of the world, saving us out of the world, Lord Father. And now we just have to deal with AI. Thank you, Lord, for winning the battles for us, Lord Father. And soon, Lord, thank you for coming back and getting us out of here. Thank you for all you do. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I got a question.
I went to the doctor's the other day,